Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to Flashback Friday. Okay, today's Flashback Friday is in a skateboard story. You see there's skateboards in back of me. Now, this is a story that I gotta tell you guys that I just thought was weird, but also it's kind of cute, it's kind of funny, it kind of shows how out of touch parents can be. Alright, so this is about 5-6 years ago. When I'm not doing comedy, guys, something that some of you know, some of you may not know, I also interview celebrities. I write for a lot of different magazines across Canada and the US. So I had an interview lined up. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. An interview lined up with Tony Hawk, the best skateboarder to ever live. Is he the best skateboarder to ever live? Well, he's right up there, right? Some could say, oh, you guys can go, yeah, how are you? Some could say that Tony Hawk created skateboarding, right? Some could say that. Is that true? I don't know if that's true, but he's like the best that ever lived. So anyways, I had an interview scheduled with Tony Hawk for 3:30 p.m. This was like 5-6 years ago. So I remember I was so excited and I was just, I had all my questions ready and I was just, what an opportunity. I'm going to talk to Tony Hawk. This is insane. So the interview was all lined up and I was ready to go. And it was at 3:30, so I kind of, I timed my shower. I had a shower at about 2:45 and I just wanted to, even though it was over the phone, I just wanted to, get prepared, be mentally ready, look good, even though it wasn't being filmed. That doesn't make any sense, but I just still wanted to be ready for it. So I remember I was in the shower. It's about 2:45 p.m. and I'm, washing myself and I'm getting ready, and I hear a knock on the bathroom door, and it's my parents, and they're like, Paul, someone's on the phone for you. And I said, well, I'll call them back. It's probably just my friends, I'll get back to them. And they kept knocking on the door saying, Paul, you gotta grab the phone. So I got out of the shower, literally just a towel hanging off me, as scary as that might seem. Forget the visual. Although you guys have seen Underwear Man, so maybe you still do have the visual. And I said to them, who is it? I'm in the middle of a shower. And they said, it's some friend of yours named Tony, but we're gonna tell him you're gonna call back. And I said, Tony Hawk? And then my parents said something like, yeah, we talked to them, we said you'll call back. So and then they ran to the phone to tell him I was going to call back. I dashed to the phone. I don't even think a towel was on me. Grabbed the phone and said, is this Tony? And he said, it's Tony Hawk. And do you remember when you were growing up, your parents would get on the phone when you were on the phone? So I'm on the phone upstairs, my parents are on the phone downstairs, and we're all trying to figure out if I'm going to take the call. So my parents are like, Tony? They're like, yeah, Paul will call back. I'm like, no, I will not call back. Is this Tony Hawk? Yeah, it's Tony Hawk. So it was the most insane thing ever. And I found, first of all, the conversation with Tony was amazing. He was incredibly nice. But I found out after that my parents actually talked to Tony. They had no idea who he was and told Tony Hawk that I would call him back. My parents actually said to Tony, I think it was my mom actually said to Tony, yeah, Paul will call you back, Tony. Does he have your number? As if this was just a friend of mine from school. It's Tony Hawk, the world's greatest skateboarder. So anyways, I thought that was kind of a fun story. It kind of shows, how out of touch parents can be and how, Tony Hawk was basically no one to my parents. He was just some friend calling me. Tony Hawk was on the phone. So my question to you guys is, have you ever had kind of a surreal moment like that? I mean, how out of touch are your parents with pop culture? Let me know a story. Let me know something just that you think is funny, something that your parents once said about a celebrity. How out of touch are your parents with celebrity and pop culture? I thought that was kind of a fun story for me and kind of a weird story, Tony Hawk calling me, and my parents not having any idea who he is or really caring who he is and willing to take a message and asking him, do I have his number? Tony Hawk, Flashback Fridays. Let's go skateboarding. Bye, guys.